There's still a bias on what I would call the old school arbitration club.
Hello and welcome back to My Arbitration. We are here in front of the EICC, the conference center where the ICA Congress is being held. Today we interview Patricia Galloway, who is an expert in international arbitration and a passionate promoter of diversity. Thank you, Patricia, for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Patricia, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? You're not the typical lawyer.
No, in fact, I'm not a lawyer at all. So I'm an engineer by background, civil engineer. I have always worked in big mega projects and heavy civil works. And so then I was an expert witness in my prior life, and I worked only on international arbitration. And I had a passion for it, and I thought, you know, I would really like to maybe someday actually be the arbitrator. So it was actually a really pretty funny story, because when I gave up my expert witness in 2008, I'm like, I'm getting no calls for international arbitration. And one of my old arbitration buddies and colleagues went, well, that's because you're not a lawyer and you don't know anything about international arbitration. I went, no, we've been in this for 30 years. I'm like, no. So sent me to Pepperdine, sent me to Oxford for the C-Arb, and my fellow finally, because I had a lot of domestic arbitrations, got my chartered arbitrator, and then, yep, one job, two jobs, three jobs, and now.
So you have an engineering background, and you sit in arbitrations as arbitrator.
Yes.
I would assume, especially on technical disputes.
Yes, construction and energy. Those are my fields.
Construction and energy. What is different about these disputes? What do you think makes these disputes particularly lending themselves to having someone decide them who understands the background?
Well, they are obviously a construction project, right? Has a lot of moving parts relative to the technical aspects of them, how they're built, how they're construction, how they're managed. And so sometimes if you have an engineering background and you worked on those projects, then you completely understand from A to Z everything about them. So it gives you that little bit of an edge. And then having been an expert witness, of course, in mostly project management, delay, and quantum, I now also understand the expert evidence before me. So sometimes I get, of course, assigned those jobs of, why don't you write that portion up of your report? Right.
Well, I wonder now, arbitration is a field that has been historically dominated by men, where women are just venturing into that field. And then technical expertise is also a field that's predominated, I think, still by men. So can you tell us a little bit about how you as a woman establish yourselves in arbitration in the technical field, and how others can follow suit?
Well, you know, it's not easy, right? And it's a matter of, I had a mentor, and I think mentors are very important, because, you know, role models, there weren't a lot when I was entering this field. And so my mentors were men that were very interested in making sure that women were part of it, because they had the foresight to know that a diverse group of panel members or experts made for a better decision. And so it took a while to build up, and then again, my mentor that I talked about that got me into the international world. But I think it's really important, you know, even though there are very few women, I think that the women that I know in the field are very supportive and are role models. And I think that's what's necessary. I do a lot of mentoring of young women, and I think it's
How
critical.
can people reach out to you and be mentored by you? And what are you looking for in a mentee?
And a mentee, I'm looking for someone who actually is really interested in my field, because it gives me a little bit more conversation with them as to how I can guide them and help them. But they can reach out to me at you know, my website or my email. But I would be more than happy to look at new women.
Are you looking for someone with a technical background or a law background, or would you mentor?
Either. I would mentor either. Yes, because I'm just so excited to see women in this profession.
And what do you think are the challenges in order for us to achieve more diversity in the field?
Well, first of all, there's still, I hate to say it, but there's still a bias on what I would call the old school arbitration club. And unfortunately, that club is all men and predominantly white, pale male men. Not that I don't sit with a lot of men that I love, but they tend to, even the lawyers, the counsel, they want to appoint people they've used before and they know, and they hate to try someone new. And so it's difficult then being a woman, being a non-lawyer, because for whatever reason there's this opinion that I know nothing about the law, which is so far from reality, but it is a bias. So if you're technical, you have both of those issues, right? That's why you need a mentor and someone that could recommend you by saying, yes, maybe they've never sat on this particular case before, but they have the right background, they have the aptitude, they can do this.
That sounds great. I hope we achieve better diversity, and thank you for supporting us with that.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
It was so good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.